Good evening, and welcome to the St. Petersburg by Night podcasting network. Tonight, we present to you our behind-the-scenes special, After Dark.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network, where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida. But it's Saturday, and we're not playing St. Pete by Night. In fact, it's After Dark, which is our behind-the-scenes program where we talk to movers and shakers in the World of Darkness. And tonight, we have a very, very, very important mover and shaker in my mind, because we are being joined tonight by Laura Tutu, a very, very huge star in the World of Darkness actual play scene, a award-winning actual play star, a content creator, a social media manager for a huge company in the World of Darkness and TTRPG atmosphere. Just lots and lots of accolades for this particular individual, and we're going to get into all of that very, very shortly. But while you're here, while you're kind of watching all of this, why not go follow St. Pete by Night on all of that social media that you see listed up above and in the description down below. And if you're enjoying all of the content that you're seeing on the channel here, why not come join our community by following that Discord link down below, where you could be a part of all of the amazing activities that you see here on the channel. You could be joining in on some of the conversations that we have, some of the activities that we have going on the channel, maybe joining some of the one-shots that we offer up or some of the discussions that we have. You could be a part of all of the crazy things we have going on at St. Pete by Night by becoming a part of that Discord, which you could do by following that link down below. But I'm not going to keep you waiting any longer. Let's go ahead and introduce our guest. Laura, say hi to our beloved community and introduce yourself, if you please.
Oh, hi, family. You guys can call me Laura or Tutu or Laura Tutu. You can find me all over the internet at _Laura Tutu on most of the social media networks. I have been doing World of Darkness for two and a half years now. Started TTRPGs, as I'm sure a lot of us did, in the midst of the panorama, the pandemic Lovato, the pandemic that is unfortunately ongoing. But yeah, I'm here to talk about vampires and darkness.
Well, I've got to say, like, in that time, in just that short period of time, you have made such a massive impression upon the World of Darkness. I've been doing the World of Darkness for a lot longer than I'd like to admit, probably since the 90s, which is saying something. But you, in just this 2.5 year span, have made such an impression, and such a good impression. And I mean that in the best possible way. As somebody who has seen this community go through some really good times and through some really bad times, I can say so positively that you have made such a good impact on the community, and you stand for such good things, and you bring such a good positive vibe to the community, and set such a good example for this new generation of players that are coming to a game that has gone through a lot of different changes over the years, a lot of different, shifts. And so, one, thank you for that. Thank you for introducing a whole new generation of players to this game, and for bringing such a good example and positivity to the game. But before we get into all that, let's talk about your first experiences coming into TTRPGs, getting introduced into TTRPGs? You said that it was through the panorama, through the pandemic. So how did that all start? How did that, like, when did they first kind of come into your atmosphere? When did you first hear about them? And
Sure.
did you have any preconceived notions about them? And not World of Darkness specifically. We can talk about D&D or any TTRPGs.
For sure. Actually, if I'm being completely honest, the first tabletop game that I got my hands on, like way back in the day, I'm talking like early 2000s probably, was actually Vampire the Masquerade. However, it was one of those situations that could have very easily turned into I never want to see this game again.
Wow. Okay.
It was so, like, you know how you get a lot of horror stories about those storytellers or those DMs who seem to have a very particular way of dealing with femmes or femme presenting people at their tables. It was a 35-year-old man who tried to get a bunch of 16, 17, 18-year-olds to play at a table with him, and it was weird. So it was one of those things where it's like, that was my first experience with the game, and I said, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Thank you.
That's the horror story I've heard so many times, and with so many individuals that I've talked to on this very program, that's their first experience, and I can't even imagine how many people haven't come back because of that. How many people were turned off and never gave it another chance, and the amount of talent and individuals we've probably lost out on because of that. The people that could have brought so much to this community that never did give it another shot because of that breaks my heart. It really does, because you're amazing. You're incredible. And if you hadn't given it another shot, we could have, what would we have missed out on? I can't even imagine what we would have missed out on if you hadn't given it another shot. I mean, we can see for ourselves what we would have missed out on if you hadn't given it another shot. So who else out there have we missed out on because of that? And that's it's heartbreaking. So like that's a terrible, terrible thing that you had to go through, and I'm so sorry to hear that.
You know what? I'm lucky that I got a second shot. It's kind of a convoluted story. I started playing D&D right before the world shut down, with some people that I was in a local musical with, because we all realized that we were all fans of like Critical Role, and I think the Wildmount supplement had just come out. So we were gathering together. We were going to have this big in-person table, and suddenly we're doing everything virtually. And we're all stuck in the house for, they said it was, 2 weeks and we'll be back to normal, and let's see how that panned out. But in that time, we kept playing virtually. Somehow am I allowed to swear?
Yes, go nuts.
Somehow I managed to bumblefuck my way onto TikTok. And started delving into D&D TikTok, and somehow found my way to the vampire section of things. Because I've always been kind of a vampire nerd in general, like not just the TTRPG, but like as folklore as a whole. It's one of my favorite things, because you can see how like society and literature and everything have changed and shifted depending on how the vampire lore comes out. And I love it. But and then somewhere along that line, I got linked in with the folks over at Queen's Court Games, which is where the All Night Society is. And that's kind of like my big main chronicle right now. And then at some point, Huddy grabbed my hand and said, "You're coming with me, kid." And the rest is history.
Well, and what a great kind of transition into it. That's such a nice and comfortable and safe way to be transitioned back in. Like what a great transition back into the world of darkness, honestly. Like that's the best way to be brought back in, especially after such a terrible first experience. I'm so glad that you did have people to bring you back in the right way, because again, those opportunities are few and far between, and I'm glad that those are becoming more and more commonplace. I know that when I joined TikTok in a much similar way around the pandemic time, when the world shut down and we were all looking for a way to connect, that's how I kind of discovered TikTok too. One of the things I commonly heard was, Vampire the Masquerade was on everybody's bucket list. It was a game everybody had heard about, and I'd been playing for 20 something years. And I was like, well, I can introduce people to this game, and that's why we started this community and this server. But I knew that there was this preconceived notion about the game, so creating a safe community and space to introduce people to it was very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm so glad that you found a place and a space to be brought back in a safe manner, and that's so important. So, you mentioned that you were doing musicals, and as a fellow theater kid growing up, talk to me about that. Was theater a really big part of your life growing up, and did that make an impression on you, and was that like an encouraging factor to get you into gaming and TTRPGing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have a bachelor's degree in fine arts with focus in directing and stage makeup. So like I did the whole thing. I paid a bunch of money for somebody to hand me a piece of paper that says, "Hey, you can technically professionally do theater." My day job, I work in finance, just by the by. So but having that basis for me in theater, I think, has definitely helped me when it comes to like finding characters, into making sure that I can connect with the people that I'm working with, the people that I'm playing across from, because the way that I've been working in the space, I find it very similar to doing a production on stage. It's not quite as intensive because, I don't have to be in rehearsals from 6 p.m. until midnight every night.
That's for sure.
But yeah, it's the same idea of bringing people together to tell a specific story. You do it, we see it, folks doing that on Broadway. Like you've got all these stories under the lights and everything. You see folks doing it at their little regional theaters, their community theaters. And I think the thing that helped click me into TTRPGs was when I stopped thinking of it as a math game and started thinking of it as like an improv exercise. And this is coming from someone who, when I was studying theater, hated improv so much, hated it with my soul.
That absolutely makes sense. Yeah, it is a big transition, but I think that TTRPGs allow for a safe space to kind of practice and be to experiment with improv, because improv in a theater setting can be very, very intimidating because it's an audience. It's a lot of people watching you. There's so much more pressure. But around a table, you're only doing it with 3 or 4 people, and everybody is in the situation. Everybody has to participate. Whereas in a theater setting, people are watching you. There's a lot more pressure, and not necessarily everybody's participating in the exercise at the same time. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. It totally makes sense that would feel a lot more comfortable in that setting. And so, yeah, that absolutely makes sense to me. What called to you about TTRPGs? What appealed to you about it and drew you into the hobby specifically? Aside from the theater aspect to it, what about it pulled you in that direction?
I mean, it's the idea that you get to live out all the cool stuff that you see in the movies. Like it's, if you're a D&D kid, it's, you get to go in and be the hero and like sling around magic or swing around a big sword. You defeat the dragon, you defeat the BBEG. For me, for World of Darkness, it's trying to navigate your worst impulses, because time and time again, the refrain that we hear over and over is there are no happy endings in Vampire. So how do you still tell a compelling story when you know at the end of the day that you're probably not going to get what you want, or if you do, it will come at a cost?
That's true. And actually, that's one of my favorite things about World of Darkness is I do love, and I try to explain this to people coming from D&D into World of Darkness, is I try to explain that it isn't a game with no happy endings, that you are going into a tragedy, because I found that is one of the hardest mindset shifts in World of Darkness from D&D, is everybody thinks that they can have the same heroic story. But that we'll talk about that more later, but I do think that is one of my favorite appeals to it, is that you are playing a tragic story in the long run, but trying to live the normal life or trying to achieve the same kind of goals with that mindset is one of the fun challenges of it. But anyway, what about Vampire specifically drew to you, and what clan was your first kind of favorite clan? I know it's hard to pick a favorite now because we talked about what's your favorite splat, and you said you can't choose a favorite amongst all your children, but like, what was the
How
first
dare you?
clan that called to you?
The first vampire thing that ever caught my attention, like I'm talking in pop culture in general, and I'm sure this is the same with a lot of us in the family, was Interview with the Vampire. I was entirely too young to see that movie when I saw that movie, but it was a formative movie for me. And obviously, we all know that Lestat de Lioncourt was the basis for Clan Toreador. Therefore,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and then I'm also a rage-filled anti-capitalist, so like secondary, probably Bruja.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Was Vampire your, I mean, obviously Vampire was probably your entry point. Did you find yourself almost immediately expanding out to the other splats, or did you kind of stick with Vampire for a while? Because I was kind of a Vampire diehard for the longest time, and it wasn't until recently, really, that I started expanding out into the other splats. Like I am now loving Werewolf. Like Werewolf is probably my primary game right now for the most part, but for like 20 years, Vampire was my game. Like that was my die-hard game, and now I'm really getting into the other games. Did you find yourself sticking primarily to one splat, or did you really quickly go out and try the other splats after experiencing Vampire?
I have been pretty staunchly in Team Vampire. The next thing that I got into pretty quickly, especially once we got the revamp, was Hunter. Huddy let me do a one shot with her for a little thing that she threw together that was great. My favorite thing about Hunter is the fact that like you're gonna get your ass kicked, which is satisfying. I'm also working on a thing with Queen's Court. We're dipping our toe into Hunter with a new podcast that's coming soon that I'm very excited about. And I haven't gotten a chance to play a werewolf yet, and I'm mad about it.
Okay.
Big mad.
That's
Big
definitely
mad.
something that has to be remedied because I absolutely have fallen in love with the werewolf system. I didn't think I was going to because I was like I said, vampire die hard for the longest time, and then I got into it and started playing more and more, and it's really great. It's really great.
Hell yeah.
What is a clan that you've always, I mean, I'm guessing you've played a lot, but what is a clan you've always wanted to play but haven't had an opportunity to play, or haven't had an opportunity to play as much as you would like to?
I haven't played Ministry yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's when you would excel at Ministry. I feel like that would be like
I
your bread
love
and butter.
I feel like, well, because with a lot of the presence heavy clans in particular, you run into, at least personally, like from what I have tried to do, I feel I'm afraid of like playing everything the same, because you've got kind of the similar vibe with, I think, Ministry, Toreador, and maybe a little bit La Sombra, depending on how you play them. So I think it would just be a matter of like finding the one particular thing that makes the ministry stand out as opposed to the Toreador, or the making the Toreador stand out against the La Sombra. Again, because it's all that presence based like charm and everything. So that's something that I really want to get into. Also, I haven't played a Nos yet.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't played a Nos yet. I just realized that.
There are, yes, those are two, like, well, Nas being one of the core clans, that would be an interesting. I'd love to see your perspective on a Nas, especially in in a performance aspect, because one of the things I admire about you is how dedicated to your characters you get, and I see this in a lot of the streams you do. You really commit, especially in how much you like put into the effort of the way you want to appear on screen when you are doing the performances. Like you definitely put an effort into everything about your performance when you appear, like the way you dress, the way you like appear on screen. You want to make sure that you are embodying your performance, and it's admirable. It's really admirable, because in other actual plays, I can see people who just show up, they're just showing up. You know what I mean? You really
Mhm.
do want to make sure they're getting everything out of it that they can get. And that really is an admirable quality. I think that makes the viewing experience so much better when people show up and they get something worth watching. And I think that's part of why you are an award-winning performer. So let's talk about that a little bit, because that is a huge accomplishment for having only been in the game 2.5 years. Amazing. Best VTM player at the Crit Awards. Tell me that story. How did that all come about? How did the nomination happen? That's got to be an incredible story. Like, let's talk about that. How did that all happen?
I mean, it was one of those things. It's a community-based award, so a lot of it is like showing people what you can do and being like, hey, if you've enjoyed my work, if you've enjoyed the characters that I've put forth, I'd appreciate your vote. So I did a lot of that, and it worked. My favorite thing about that whole category was the best VTM players. It was a bunch of BIPOC players, and that just made my little heart happy. So to be fair, if I hadn't won, I would have been happy seeing any of those faces on the screen, because nothing brings me more joy than watching fellow Black and POC folks in the space get their flowers, because it's so damn important. But yeah, it's one of those things that's really gratifying, because I like the thing that I find hardest about the actual play space is I know that we are all hustling and we are all trying to get our stuff out there, which means when we have people that we know who are also doing things, it's that I would love to watch this, but I have a stream, or I love to watch this, but I'm recording for something. So the fact that like enough people were willing and enjoyed the work that I put out just meant the world to me, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be nice to get recognized, especially to that degree, to the point that winning an award. I mean, that is probably the best recognition you can get. It says that your peers do
Still
see you.
weird.
I can imagine.
Weird.
Imagine it is. But that does say something, especially again, so early on in your career. We're talking 2023. That's pretty early on to be receiving that kind of recognition. But it also speaks to your talent, and it speaks to the commitment to your art and to your craft, and that's incredible. So, what are you working on currently? What are some projects that you're working on now? Because you've still got All Night Society, you've still got Queen's Court Games, you've got the Shadows Over Baldur's Gate like series that was going on. Like, you've got a lot of projects. I see your name popping up left and right and center. Like, you are busy all the time. How do you keep it all going? How do you keep it all straight? Like, how do you keep all these balls in the air?
The Google Calendar.
Okay.
Google, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. And that's the ADHD talking. But it's a matter for me because I'm fortunate enough that this doesn't have to be my full-time gig. I'm still able to pick and do things that I want to do because I'm passionate about them. And honestly, I think that speaks to what I'm able to put into the projects that I do. Because if you're not enjoying yourself, if you're not enjoying the story, if you're not enjoying the character, it's going to show. I feel like we end up seeing that a lot with games that kind of run on, and you can tell when folks kind of aren't having fun with it anymore, or when the joy starts to sink out of it. So that's a big thing that I try to keep myself true to, is that I don't say yes to things if I know that I'm reaching capacity, whether that be scheduling, whether that be emotional, mental load. But right now, yes, All Night Society, we are currently working on season 3. I am recording with Huddy for her new full Chronicle Cradle of Liberty set in Boston. We've got a couple of episodes that have dropped over on the YouTube channel. Working on, like I said, a Hunter podcast, again with Queen's Court Games. Shadows Over Baldur's Gate, which is still going. We're just on break right now because our beloved DM is hanging out at GaryCon right now, and I'm so jealous. Ugh. Cons are expensive.
Yes.
Sure. And then like here and there, just like if there's a 1-shot or a 3-shot that I can pop into, if I've got the time and I've got the schedule, I'll usually like pop in, scare somebody's players and dip. Been doing a lot over with the folks at Folk and Myth as well. Bleak Season, who is the storyteller over there, has the most ridiculous, interconnected, multi-century vampire chronicle that I have ever been involved with. Like quite literally, his timeline started with a Dark Ages game that I was in, and I'm playing another different character in. I just played another different character in a Sabbat 3-shot.
That Sabbat 3-shot, yeah.
Yeah, all interconnected. It's all interconnected.
That's wild.
Because Bleak is insane.
That's absolutely wild. How to keep all of those pieces straight. And like I did one chronicle years ago that was like all the way from Dark Ages to modern times, and to keep all that straight, it's like a red string board. It's nuts. It's massive undertaking. Massive.
Bleak's also a teacher, so that tracks.
That probably does help. That probably does help. Before I continue to the next line of questioning, I want to let everyone know that we are doing a giveaway tonight. One of our beloved partners, Champs Tramps, is giving away a free art piece, which you could get for free by doing the hashtag Tutu, Tutu, in the chat tonight. So if you put hashtag Tutu in the chat anytime throughout the evening tonight, you could get a free art piece from our beloved Champ. Any character art piece, color art piece in a variety of styles, including has-been hotel inspired, chibi inspired. She does marvelous artwork. I have tons and tons of art pieces of our beloved werewolf pack, of our beloved vampire characters. It doesn't have to be limited to VTM inspired. She's also done pictures, as you can see on the screen there, of people's pets, D&D characters. She's a marvelous artist. Get some artwork done by her. Definitely go support her. You can get in contact with her on our community. We would love to see her get some, commissions out of this, but you can get a free art piece by just putting in hashtag Tutu, Tutu, in the chat tonight, and we will be drawing that by the end of the evening. So get in the drawing this evening. So what I want to ask next is getting into the actual play space. What were some of the challenges for you early on when you were getting asked to do these projects, when people were bringing you in, or when you were first starting out? What did you find were some of the biggest challenges to overcome as you were starting to be brought into live streams or being brought into recordings? Did you find yourself running into any challenges or personal challenges or technical challenges? For people who want to get into the kind of same sphere that you're into, what did you find yourself encountering?
Definitely the technical challenges. When I first started doing this, I was on a single laptop and a single monitor. Every time I queued up for something, it sounded like the laptop was about to launch itself into space. The poor fan every time. But little by little, it's one of those things that if you decide this is something that you want to do, a good mic will get you a lot of places. I was fortunate enough that my friends at Queen's Court Games helped me get the new one that I've currently been rocking that's done me well. But yeah, those first couple of streams were rough with the camera, the $50 webcam, and my gaming headset.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just special, real special. Otherwise, the scheduling is always going to be a nightmare. Especially one of my favorite things about this space is the fact that I've worked with people who live in the States, and I work with people who live in Australia, and I work with people who live in Iceland. The only problem there is the time zones.
Yeah.
Time zones are a mess.
No, for sure. And getting everybody together. I mean, that's always been the curse of gaming in general, isn't it? Trying to get everyone together at the same time in the same place. And now we have the benefit of online, which has definitely eased things to a certain degree, but only a little bit. Trying to get anyone in the same place, even online, is a nightmare.
Well, yeah, poor Huddy, when we're recording, it's 2:30 in the afternoon for me. It's 8 p.m. Yeah. And we go for 4 hours. So that poor woman is running our happy asses around until midnight.
Oh, that's just nuts. Absolutely nuts.
I love Huddy.
What advice would you give people who want to kind of get into the realm or try and get into the realm of actual plays? Because you are an inspiration to a lot of people. A lot of people watch your performances and they are inspired by what you do. So what would you advise them if they wanted to follow in your footsteps? How can they get started?
I'm going to be honest. My getting started was sort of making those like awkward connections, like on TikTok and stuff. Cause like we were all trapped in the house and like, you know what, let's make sure that we build our little communities, even if it's just through the little app on our phone. But eventually it became like, if I saw something I was interested in, I would make that first contact. And say, hey, this is a really cool project. If you've got the space, I'd love to talk about like being part of the table. And then when you build those networks, I think it's a matter of making sure that you are. And this again goes back to my theater background. The thing that will get you hired and selected over and over again is being reliable. So showing up on time, showing up and being ready to work, and being good to the people that you're working with. I don't have time for people who are for people who don't understand that when we say collaborative storytelling, we mean collaborative storytelling. If you are at a table that feels like you are all building the same story together and laying the bricks out together, that's going to be the most satisfying thing. I understand that we've got a lot of folks who are sort of may potentially be using this space to go elsewhere. Which is fine. That's great. This is a cool place to start. This is a cool industry to start in. But when you are working in this industry, when you are working with the people here, you need to be willing to make those connections and make them genuine. It's really easy to tell when folks are just sitting down at a table because they think it will get them to the next stepping stone. And if that's what you're about, that's fine. If that is how you feel, that is fine. But be kind of honest about it. You don't have to be a jerk about it, but you got to be honest about it. If this is portfolio building, that's great. Be honest about it. Honesty and kindness can get us a lot of places just in general. And I think we need a little more of that, especially in this burgeoning industry of actual play.
For sure. For sure. And I think that, yeah, just being straightforward going into a project together. I think if everybody has their goals laid out on the table of like, what are we trying to build here? Are we all on the same page? Are we going into this just trying to have fun? We just started a second werewolf table, a second stream. And when we started the stream, when we got the table together, I sat down with the players and I was like, this is what my vision for the stream is. Does it match up with what all of you want to do? Because if you don't, that's fine, but then it's going to change the way I'm approaching what we're doing here. Like, if we're not all on the same page, I'm not going to put this level of effort into it if we're not all going to be putting in the same level of effort. And I think it's really important to be very, very transparent about all of that stuff, because you don't want people going at different paces, because that's where you get that, like, frustration amongst people or that resentment amongst people when you see, oh, well, this person's giving less effort or this person is being very selfish with their screen time or whatever the case is. If you're just straight up of like, I'm just trying to get ahead, I want to get my face out there, then you can say like, okay, that's what they're in it for. We need to be aware of that. We need to be, is that somebody I want to play with? Is that somebody I want? And going into it versus getting surprised.
Yeah. Also, if you go into a table and you ask about safety tools and safety protocols and you get scoffed at, don't sit at that table.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely. Session 0 for me is non-negotiable.
Yeah.
That's not something that I'm willing to bypass, especially when you're doing World of Darkness. Because of the subject matter, and in general, this goes for any horror game, the more you are able to trust the people that you're at the table with, the darker you can get. And that's kind of what we're here for. So you need to be able to have that trust and have those guide rails, because it'll help you dive down into the dark and it'll help you get back out safely.
Yeah. So let's talk more about that, about safety tools, because safety tools, in my mind, were a very new thing that I only discovered in the pandemic, actually, funny enough. As somebody who's been a gamer for 30 plus years, it was something that really just came across my table or my experiences in the pandemic, because I was used to only playing with friends at the table, in which case, like, you kind of knew the people you were playing with. It was only when I started playing with strangers that I kind of got introduced to that concept. And boy, am I glad that I did. Boy, am I glad that these things existed. And especially in a game or a setting like World of Darkness, has it ever become so much more profound and important. So, to an audience that might not be familiar with the concept of safety tools, to people who might be watching this and might not know so much more about it, from a voice as experienced as yours or as familiar as yours, can you kind of explain why they're so important, or what people should be on the lookout for, or maybe even what they are?
Yeah. I mean, safety tools, it's a basic way to make sure that when you are playing at a table, when you are playing, whether that be Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf, even D&D, if there is subject matter that you don't feel comfortable exploring, if there are things that you perhaps don't want to involve your character in, that's the best way to make sure that everybody at the table is on the same page with that. As I said, it's especially important with anything based out of horror, anything based in those darker aspects of play, to make sure that everybody understands where the one of the phrases that's used a lot are lines and veils. So a line would be, I absolutely do not feel comfortable touching on this subject. A veil would be, we can discuss it, but a veil can become a line at any time. It's a matter of making sure that everybody at the table is aware of what their boundaries are and understanding that those boundaries can change at any time. And as with real life, consent is mandatory and can be withdrawn at any time. It can be as simple as using the stoplight system. So, for example, if you're I'm going to keep it simple. Say somebody like doesn't want to talk about cheeseburgers, and the DM starts talking about like the construction of a cheeseburger in a really graphic way. You can throw up a red card, or say red, or type red in your chat. And if you are with a trustworthy table, gameplay will stop. You can stop, you walk away, you talk about what happened, and if it's comfortable, you move forward. Yellow would be, hey, we're getting close to my line here. Can we dial it back a little bit? Again, if you are at a safe and trustworthy table, the storyteller, the GM will know to kind of move it forward. You don't have to linger on this. Green would be, you know what, we're good, let's keep it going. And at the end of the day, it is all about communication. You need to be able to communicate and trust the people that you're working with. And that goes with just about anything, whether it's actual play or theater.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that communication, I mean, really what it comes down to is safety tools are communicating, and communicating is such an important thing in life in general. I think we've all got to communicate more as a whole, but in TTRPGs, in gaming, in theater, in any kind of group activity, communication should be a key component. And with something like TTRPGs, it's a very, very vulnerable activity. And I don't think people recognize the vulnerability that comes behind TTRPGs. We are opening ourselves up in ways that I don't think people even understand. When we pick these characters, we're picking these characters because they represent a part of ourselves, whether it's a vulnerability of ourselves, or something that we wish we were, or a part of ourselves that we're trying to improve, or a part of ourselves that maybe we're even ashamed of. These are vulnerabilities of ourselves we're putting forward, and that can be exploited if around the wrong types of people. And so those communications are so important to say, like, hey, this is a vulnerability I'm putting out there. Please be aware of that, and please be sensitive about that. Or these are subject matters I want to avoid when putting myself in these spaces. So exactly. I'm so glad that these things have become more openly talked about, and that we aren't going into these spaces just kind of unaware or unwilling to discuss these things. I think it's so important. Another thing I want to talk about, and you talk about it on your website, is representation. I have always appreciated World of Darkness because I think it's a game that has always encouraged representation. Have they always done it well? No, I will say that. The 90s was a rough time period where they made some mistakes. I will say that.
The 90s were rough for everybody, though.
For everybody, but it's a sign of the times. Everyone evolves over time. But they always did kind of push the boundaries. They were a counterculture game. They tried to always push the boundaries of society by trying to represent parts of society that weren't always on the surface. You know, they tried to get into counterculture elements. And I really liked that about the game. They tried to get into the gritty, dirty parts that people didn't want to talk about, that weren't always openly accessible. And I like that is something that still continues to this very day. How do you feel that World of Darkness provides representation, and do you think they're doing a good job of continuing to present representation going forward?
I will say, just as a caveat, I am one person. I am a singular Black woman, singular Black femme. So my word is not law. We are not a monolith. But in general, I always feel like folks can do better.
Always.
There is always the possibility for improvement. That said, it is really heartening to see a lot more Black folks, a lot more people of color, especially on sort of the main, like the big APs. Seeing Abria and B-Dave and Cynthia Marie. B-Dave and Cynthia Marie were two of the first people of color that I saw playing vampire. Eric Aishi, again, one of the first people of color I saw playing vampire. So just knowing that space is available and open is great. And I know personally Huddy has been doing her damnedest to make sure that the community that she is in charge of is a space where people like me will be welcome. Huddy doesn't put up with foolishness. And I think that's a strong part of it. If you are willing to make the space safe for people who are willing to do harm, then you don't actually have a safe space.
Absolutely.
If you make the space safe for lambs and wolves, you don't have a safe space for the lambs.
Right. 100%. And even in the material too. And I think that's one of the great things about it too, because like one of your favorite characters is Kevin Jackson, the Prince of Chicago. Yeah. And in Chicago by Night, you know, the most powerful character, or one of the most powerful characters, is a BIPOC character. And I think that's a fantastic thing that World of Darkness is doing, is they are trying to show representation in their setting. Like, they really do a really solid job of representing all elements in their setting. They don't whitewash their settings. They could do better, of course. Everybody can. We like you said, I couldn't have put it better myself. Everyone can always be seeking to improve, always seeking to do better. But I do like that when they write setting books, and I hope they do more because I loved the setting books of their older editions. Oh, yeah. But I do like that they do try to always really flesh out their settings. And even in their core books and in their rule books, they are putting all elements in there. They are giving a full scope and view of every possible perspective, as much as possible that they can.
Yeah.
And keep doing more. That's all I can say to them, is just keep going, keep pushing, keep doing more. But well, and that's something I appreciate them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I especially love, because I believe Chicago by Night got a revamp a while back, because there was an original Chicago folio like way back when. PKJ was kind of rough. It was one of those things where it's like, that is the stereotype, friends. Yes. But then we had the spectacular Chris Spivey come in and write through a lot for PKJ, which is like, I love Chris Spivey. I'm just gonna real quick, if you haven't checked out Harlem Unbound, Chris Spivey wrote a supplement for Call of Cthulhu based out of the Harlem Renaissance. Good stuff. So when I realized that was the person who had written through for PKJ in the Chicago by Night revamp, I was happy as a clam because Chris does amazing things with taking the history that we know and giving us the perspective of the Black community, which is how we got Harlem Unbound, which is how we got Haunted West, which is his like Weird West supplement. So cool. Because, if you're going to be historically accurate about it, most of the cowboys back in the day were actually Black folks and Latino folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What is on your must read or like must check out list? Because that's actually a very interesting supplement that I haven't even heard of. So what are some other things?
So good.
I believe it. I completely believe it. What are some other things that you would recommend to people? Because that's on my list now. What are some other things? Because I haven't heard of everything. I mean, there are so many things out there. What are some other things you'd recommend that people check out?
I mean, if you're a horror buff, Cult Divinity Lost. Now that's gonna get dark, kids. Cult is messed up. But if you're into stuff like Hellraiser, that is totally gonna be your vibe. Just dark, gnarly horror, which I had to sort of dip my toe into over at Queen's Court because it's one of those things that I initially I'm not gonna touch this. I don't even like horror that much. But I had a wonderful storyteller, Aaron, who is also the storyteller for the All Night Society, who is a stickler for those safety protocols. Does not fuck around. Will not fuck around when it comes to keeping people at his table safe, which is how we are able to explore such dark and horrific themes. Oh God, what else? Vaesen. I love Vaesen. I love me a good industrial revolution fantasy nonsense. Think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, kind of the vibe. Okay. I know that movie is terrible. I still love it. That movie is trash. It's delightful.
It's one of those movies you're either gonna love or you're gonna hate, and it's not about quality. It's just how it hits you. It either hits you
Am I entertained? That's all I care about. Right. I don't have to. Is it going to change the world? No. Am I having a good time? Yes.
That's it. That's exactly it. Couldn't say it better myself. You either love it or you hate it. That's it.
And then Court of Blades is another one that I love from a couple of Drakes. I love the Drakes. The Drakes are wonderful. It's basically Blades in the Dark, but if you took that and dropped it into Casanova, but the Casanova with Heath Ledger. So you get to be this swashbuckling, pirate adjacent. Oh, it's a good time. So Blades in the Dark, Vaesen, and then Cult Divinity Lost are the three that I love right now.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaboration with our partnered vendors, Wolfpack Dice, Ember Fox Dice, Dragon Ink Dice, Barra the Bard, Champs Tramps, Panchi Artista, and Chromatic Creations. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpetebynight.com. The official theme song for St. Petersburg by Night is Vampire by Faith and Failure. You can find them at faithandfailure.com. You can follow SPBN on all socials with the hashtag StPeteByNight. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at ko-fi.com/StPeteByNight to help keep the stories rolling.
So I'm curious, because we talked about this a little bit offline. Have you ever thought about dabbling in storytelling? Because you do a lot of playing, but you say that you think it's funny that a lot of people think you're a storyteller. Would you ever think about dipping your toes in the storytelling pool? And based off of your reaction, it doesn't seem that that's something you're necessarily interested in.
Ken, if I'm going to storytell, that means I got to write it, and I don't want to write it. I don't want to. I've got an idea, and it's percolating, but then I have to write it, and then I have to be in charge, and I don't want to.
Hey, I
don't want to be in charge.
Improv. You don't have to write anything. I don't write anything. All my scripts, I haven't written a single thing.
Don't tell me that. You're supposed to tell me it's fine, Kent.
Or you can. I mean, you could. I wrote everything. It's fine. It happens so easy. It takes no time at all.
No, I got something brewing in my brain with some thin bloods and some caitiffs in Chicago, and it's sitting there, and it's been staring at me from my Google Docs for like a year and a half. Just like I want to, and this is petty and stupid, but I want to get to it before Bria Iyengar does.
You gotta beat her. You gotta beat her to the punch.
I know.
You gotta get there. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. Yeah, I think
so. Maybe it's there. It's a consideration, but like it stresses me out. Like thinking about it, I'm kind of sweating a little. Like the idea of storytelling or running a game in general makes me sweat a lot.
What is it?
It makes me nervous.
What intimidates you most, aside from the writing? Obviously, prep intimidates a lot of people and puts a lot of people off from the idea of storytelling. But what are some other things that intimidate you from the idea of storytelling?
I know how I am as a player, and if there's a button and you put it in front of me, I'm going to click it. The problem then being that button is occasionally sometimes linked to a detonator that blows up the story. So, like, I understand that I am a chaos gremlin as a player. I don't know if I've got like the mental dexterity to handle people being gremlins at me.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're happy being the gremlin. You don't want to have to contain the gremlins.
I know this about myself. I am self-aware enough to know that I'm pretty sure I don't have the mental dexterity to do with a hard left that a player will occasionally throw.
I see. Okay. I get it. Not do unto others what you'd have done unto you. You just do unto others and run away.
Listen, Aaron and Huddy love me. I only occasionally blow up the plot.
Understood. Okay. We're going to take a hard right here. What of the splats that exist have you not had an opportunity to try but want to? Because the world of darkness is vast. Let's be honest. There's so
much. Why is there a mummy?
Why is there a mummy? I refuse to acknowledge the existence of mummy. I refuse.
Okay, so it is the redheaded stepchild.
I don't like mummy. I will never acknowledge mummy. Okay, mummy and demon are the two Brendan that I'm Fraser. Like, did we need it? Did they run out of ideas?
Here's the thing though. Surprising absolutely no one. I was a supernatural girly. I'm talking in the early, seasons 1 through 5 are perfect. Why did they keep going? It could have ended at 5. It was supposed to end at 5. But I loved that deep dive into almost the American Gothic, Judeo-Christian, the death and the 4 horsemen running around at the end of season 5 was rad. I want to play more with that. I feel like Demon could have a really interesting resurgence, but the danger there being, I feel like a lot of that is probably based in again, Catholic and Judeo-Christian, which is it's such a small slice of the pie.
Right.
And there's so many other so much other religious text to take from, but you got to make sure you're doing it right, because that's representation is great, but representation is great, but you gotta do it right.
And they already walked that line with vampire, with the idea of Cain and Abel, Garden of Eden. They already kind of are tiptoeing on that line, and it's tough. It's tough to do. Yeah. It's a really dangerous game they play already. And then if you introduce, you're right, you introduce demon, where do you go from there? What kind of demons do you want to bring in? How do you want it represented? And also, I feel like it's, how much power do you want to bring into this world? Mage already breaks the boundaries for me in so many ways.
Mage is so weird.
So crazy.
Mage is weird. I am intrigued, but surface level, the fact that if you accidentally sling something the wrong way, you'll break the universe. Guys, what the hell?
Well, and one of the things I loved about World of Darkness is that it's all one world. All these pieces exist in one world. And one of the most mind-breaking things that I learned from my talk with Justin Achille was that they weren't supposed to all exist in the same world. The
Jeez
concept
Louise.
was that they did, but the games weren't all supposed to be existing in the same world. They weren't supposed to cross over. And in the fifth edition releases, the systems are all balanced enough that you can have them all exist in the same world. I'm noticing by the way the mechanics are working. Like for the first time ever, the mechanics all seem to work together. So you could potentially have a werewolf, a vampire, and a hunter all in one group right now. Potentially. For the first time ever. You could.
That would be stressful.
It's stressful, but you could. Unlike before, where you absolutely could not. But he said, you're not supposed to. They're not supposed to exist together.
No.
But like,
because the werewolf will try to kill the vampire.
Right, as they should. As they should. As they should. But Mage just throws all that out the window, man. Like, Mage just is, it's crazy. So the concept of demon, what in the world? Like, how?
Also changelings. Also changelings.
But
Changeling is apparently balls to the wall weird, and that kind of, it's almost enough to make me want to try it just because I just want to see what the deal is. I just want to know what's going on.
Yeah. So that's the question. Which of the many splats out there do you want to try most that you have not had the opportunity to?
Honestly, like, I feel as much as I look at Mage and go like, what the fuck is going on in here? Like, that's probably the next one that I would want to like dive into.
Okay. Well, you may get your opportunity sooner rather than later based off of the way it seems things are trending. But that's kind of what I want to ask you next is, you see the way that World of Darkness has been working with this 5th edition trend, the way they've been releasing things, the supplements that they've been releasing. They've gone an interesting direction. They released Vampire. Obviously, they were going to release Vampire. Vampire's been their baby, their pillar of all times. Vampire, Werewolf, Mage, those are their 3 pillars that they build everything on, and then everything else kind of decorates it. But they released Hunter second, which was an interesting choice, then Werewolf. What do you think's coming next? It seems all signs point to Mage, but I'd be interested to see if instead they do something and take another side path and go to something like Wraith or Changeling before going to Mage. My hope is Mage is last, because Mage could break everything if they do it wrong. But where would you like to see them go next, and where do you think it's more likely they are going to go next?
I like Mage seems like it might be the next thing because it feels like it's the most complete as far as like what they have available to them right now. I've also seen a couple of Changeling games popping up in the space. Really? So like, okay. I don't know, maybe that's enough of an impetus for them.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah. I could deal with some Fable shit.
Absolutely. It'd be very cool to see them take another off route, because seeing Hunter come out second was very interesting and cool to see them do, because it was unexpected. As somebody who's followed their path of release for years now, it was nice to see them take that off route, but then having seen the way the mechanics were working and seeing what they were trying to do with everything, and then hearing Justin explain it, on our last talk with him, it all made sense. It all made sense what they were trying to do and the story they were trying to tell and everything with it. It did all make sense, but now I'd be interested to see if they're doing something different now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's cool. So I want to ask you some of our questions from the community. Who is one of your favorite characters that you've ever played? Or what is one of your favorite characters you've ever played? And can you give us some context and, story about it, or a story about that character?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I got to go with my girl Calamity. Calamity Madden, my gangrel werewolf hunter over at the All Night Society, who was only supposed to be a guest character. Quite literally, Aaron and V got in touch with me because the coterie was about to have to deal with a werewolf problem just north of O'Hare. And at the point that they were in that juncture, they would have all died. So it was very much, we need you to come in and be plot armor so these idiots don't get themselves killed. But then and Aaron was also, apparently there is a werewolf hunter in Chicago by Night, but the vibe is very like Alan Quartermain, Great White Hunter. So Aaron was like, I'm not touching that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I would like to bring in something that is decidedly less icky. But Cal is, she's a gangrel who grew up in West Virginia. Like in the early days of as the mines were coming through and the struggle and trauma of being dirt poor and Black in that part of the country. And the thing for me with Cal is even before she was embraced, she had gone through hell. So her lot in life and on life, I suppose, is, all right, do your worst. It can't be any worse than what I already lived through. But I love her with my whole heart, and I appreciate Aaron more than I can say for giving me the space to build this character and make her unapologetically and undeniably Black. With season 3, we're working on exploring some of the other neighborhoods in Chicago, including Bronzeville, which is like the historically Black neighborhood in the city of Chicago. The general vibe is if Harlem hadn't happened, Bronzeville would have been Harlem, as far as the history books tell us.
That's amazing.
But taking the horror and trauma of being Black and poor in America pre-Jim Crow, in the midst of Jim Crow, and building a character out of that has been so incredibly gratifying for me.
Oh, that's so cool. If people wanted to catch up on the episodes in anticipation of season 3, where could they go to do that?
For sure. The All Night Society can be found on Spotify. All of our current episodes are available, or if you're more of a YouTube person, we've got everything on the YouTube as well for Queen's Court Games.
Perfect. Do you identify more with the Camarilla, Anarchs, or Sabbat?
Oh, that's hard. Oh, that's real. Like, here's the thing. I have, obviously, as an anti-capitalist piece of shit, I have problems with the Camarilla, because the cam is all about keeping the boot on the neck. Anarchs, however, I understand their desire for freedom and liberation, but once they achieve the liberation, they don't know what to do with it. So 9 times out of 10, they just kind of circle back into Camarilla Light.
Absolutely.
The Sabbat are monsters.
None of them get it right. None of them get it right. Let's be honest. They're all wrong.
But Sabbat is a blast to play because you can kind of just lean into the worst impulses. Masquerade who? We don't care. Which is kind of fun and satisfying in its own right. I don't know, like... Cammy Chronicles have a very particular flavor to them. It's more of that like political intrigue, political thriller shit, which is a lot of fun. But like, if you're gonna throw me into something, like if me, Laura, had to jump into the world of darkness, you're probably gonna throw me a leather jacket and dump me with the Anarchs.
That makes sense. What got well, here, let's see. What has been your favorite role play scene to date? If you had to pick a couple, if you can't pick one, I understand, but if you had to pick a couple.
Here's my problem. The problem that I have with actual play is the same problem that I used to have when I was doing theater, in that the minute I am done with a show, it all flies out of my brain.
I get that. I totally get that.
But if I had to pick something, there was a really wonderful moment with Calamity and the new baby Bruja of Chicago's favorite coterie. We were hunting down Jason fucking Newberry because he'd been buried in the underwater aqueducts of Chicago. There's a lot of shit down there, by the way, guys. If you want to see something cool, look up like the underground water system in the city of Chicago. It's wild. It's also why Aaron wouldn't let us take the folkloric bane for not being able to cross running water, because we'd never go anywhere.
You can get anywhere. Yeah.
But Newberry, in spite of being in torpor, is still a very, very old, very, very powerful Malkavian. So he was noodling around in the coteries' brains for their worst memories. And there was just a really beautiful moment because the baby Bruja had literally been turned like maybe a month ago. And it was traumatic and awful, as is with a lot of fresh vampires, because he was literally bitten and thrown into a container with some poor hapless woman who he then murdered, because that's how your first feeding goes. So it was this really beautiful, like sad, heartbreaking moment of this older vampire trying to comfort her new coterie mate, who is still struggling with the fact that he has become a monster. And he still has it in his head that this strength and power that he has can be used to help people, except for the part where the beast is always going to get what it wants at the end of the day.
I love that. I love that. That's such a... I love the transitioning someone into what they truly are, like having that come to terms. And I think that's one of the best stories in the World of Darkness atmosphere. And again, this is one of the things that they talked about in the interview, was that transition was the story that they wanted to tell, was with this 5th edition, that was the story, was becoming the vampire was the story they wanted to tell. They didn't want to tell the story of the elder vampires. They didn't want to tell the story of the court. They wanted to tell the story of the struggle of the younger vampires. That's the story they wanted to tell, of coming from behind, of being the ones down in the shit, trying to deal with this transition. That's what they wanted. That's what they wanted people focusing on. They didn't want them focusing on meta plot. They didn't want them focusing on all of that. They wanted to start
meta plot. Fuck
there. Yeah. So
meta plot will give me a headache.
That's an amazing. Yeah, that's an amazing story.
I've got one more.
Yeah.
I've got one more. The last couple of things that we released for Tans were sort of interstitiary bits, with like past instances of the coterie mates. So I got to show what Calamity's relationship with her sire was like. Once again, being a supernatural girly, you can very easily see that my inspiration for Calamity Madden was Dean motherfucking Winchester. I also got to get my buddy Zach Savage Lore, to play this old ass elder gangrel with multiple dots in the potence and protean. That shit's nasty.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that an elder gangrel can inspire frenzy in humans?
Yes, yeah, with the higher level, yeah.
Yep, we did that. It was one of those things where like Aaron and Zach were talking, and Aaron was really like, all right, so Zach, would you like to be able to pull all of the blood out of someone's body in one go, or turn them to frenzy and set them on their friends?
Amazing.
Oh, it was gnarly. It was truly monstrous and horrible, but like damn good storytelling.
Damn good. What do you feel have been steps forward made in diversity among the gaming and or VTM world? And what steps do you feel are still needed or want to see from these spaces?
I mean, it's good to see more Black and brown faces on the screens. It's great to see like even all Black, all POC tables. Every once in a while, we still get those promotional posters that it's just a slew of white folks. And I think the thing that I hope people are willing to do is to sit down and look at their casting choices. And I understand, I do not care guys, I don't care what you do at your home game. I really don't. I don't care what you do at your home game. But if you are taking this and you are giving it out to the general public as a product, you need to have consideration for the diversity at your table. And we can always tell when you're just throwing a brown face on there because you don't want to get yelled at on the internet.
Absolutely.
So do your due diligence. If you're having trouble finding Black and brown people, maybe consider why that is. Do a little soul searching, think about it. Yeah. Have a moment, sit in your discomfort, and then do the work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, it's great. It's great to see more black and brown faces, and the trend just needs to continue, and it needs to continue in a way that remains respectful without being tokenizing, because we can always tell when you're just pulling us onto your channel because you need a brown face.
Well said. Well said.
Also, you're gonna have better stories with a diverse table. Like I keep bringing. Hi, Aaron. You're probably here somewhere. Aaron keeps saying that, like, I'm a white dude from the Midwest. There are only so many stories that a white dude from the Midwest could tell. If you want diverse and engaging stories, you want a diverse and engaging table. It's really that simple. You're gonna get different perspectives. You're gonna get different angles to the same story, and that's going to make it something that people want to watch and engage.
So I have a question to that regard then. What's a good way to invite those perspectives into a community? Because like I always say, like, the St. Pete community, the doors are always open. All, you know, anybody can come join, anybody can come be a part of this. But it's kind of one of those, like, it's one voice among a chorus of voices. You know, everybody's got community. There's too many games to count. There's too many opportunities to be a part of. Is there a way to really appeal specifically? Because I don't want it to feel like it's a token situation. I don't want it to feel the way you're describing. Like, how is there something you would suggest in that regard? Because it does want to be an opening and welcoming situation. It doesn't want to seem or come off anything other than that. So how would you suggest making that approach right? Like, what did Huddy do right? What did, you know, the people that made you feel welcome do right versus the people that put you off do wrong?
It's so when Aaron V came to me, they were upfront about the fact that, like, we want to make sure that the stories that we are telling are as diverse as possible. And I think that's what you want to focus on. You need to be honest with the fact, like, do you want to tell more diverse, more engaging stories? And is that why you're bringing me in? Or are you bringing me in because you want to look like you're being diverse? You have to have the want, the desire to tell those more diverse and engaging stories. You have to want to be able to look at these different perspectives and see what other people can bring to your tables, and be honest about that. It's like, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we want to do. And then it's sticking to that.
Okay. That's excellent advice. When it comes to supporting diversity in game design and creators, who do you recommend? The question asker was familiar with Coyote and Crow Games, but it's harder to find companies in the development side that are dedicated to making sure that there is representation from development to production.
Yeah, I am sorry to say that I haven't done a lot of work on the development side of things. But I love, again, I'm going to go back to Chris Spivey. His studio, Darker Hue Studio, is wonderful. Like I said, they've got Harlem Unbound and Haunted West, which take those historical aspects, so like the Wild West and the Call of Cthulhu world, and put them through the lens of Black and brown folks who were historically living in those time periods. I love a couple of Drakes. They have such a wonderful stretch and breadth of all sorts of different games. Like I said, Court of Blades is really interesting. There is a game that they have called Hedge that is so cool. It's Fey bullshit.
Amazing.
But again, they aren't specifically like culturally related, but when I've talked to them and from what they have put out, they want to make as many people feel comfortable in their games as possible. So it's, from what I've dealt with and what I have seen from them, it's not limiting. But again, unfortunately, I am not super into the development end of things, because that means I'd have to write shit, and I don't want to do that.
That's fair.
I don't want to do that.
You don't want to write. I totally understand.
I don't want to write. I don't want to write, Ed.
I don't write. I get it. I don't. I improvise everything. I get it. You're a part of the Queen's Court Games team, as you've mentioned. What has helped build and keep the community going?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I came in like partway through the All Night Society, so they were already like established and doing their thing. But they have their Discord, and you'll see the folks who are on the production end of thing like actively engaging with the community. It's having a comfortable and welcoming and safe space for the people who enjoy your stuff to like talk about the stuff and talk about other things. Like there's a whole channel on our damn Discord where people just post pictures of their pets. So it's giving people space to enjoy the thing that you want them to enjoy. So like we have space for folks to talk about tans. We have space for folks to talk about the one shots and the other mischief that we put out. And again, it's about making sure that your space is genuine and safe and a place for people to come and gather and talk about the things that they love.
So you are also the social media manager for Queen's Court Games and a content creator. What is the secret to crafting the perfect social media post? Because
bro, if I knew that, do you think I'd be working in finance right now?
Okay, but what are some things that you try to consider when you are making content? Because like you make some pretty really well constructed videos and posts. I have seen the Queen's Court stuff come across my page, and it is always really good looking and well done. And I've seen your videos come across my page, and they are well done. Your posts are always well worded or well constructed. So what do you consider when going into creating a post? Because people, I think that's one of the things that I've seen people struggle with is promoting their stuff. I think people have a hard time promoting their streams, promoting their products, promoting themselves, promoting, like they have actual plays, but they don't know how to promote them. And so therefore they don't get the views they're looking for, and they get frustrated and they give up. Like, how can they promote themselves better? Because you are very successful.
First and foremost, don't kill the part of you that is cringe. Kill the part of you that cringes. You are literally putting yourself on the internet for people to view and perceive. You're gonna have to get over the fear of being perceived, my guy. And maybe it's because, again, we're going back to my theater background. I've done some dumb shit in a classroom with 10 other theater majors at 8:30 in the morning before the caffeine is kicked in. You're just gonna have to get over that weird little part of you that's gonna be like, oh, but what if people think I'm weird? You don't give a shit. Don't give a shit. Are you enjoying yourself? Because like most of my stuff on TikTok was stuff that I did because I was bored in the house and I couldn't do things on the stage and I couldn't we couldn't go to the movies. So it's like, I'm going to make these dumb little videos about my dumb little D&D vampire characters because I am entertaining myself. Honestly, I think that's part of it. Like you should find the fun in it. If you're not having a good time, everybody's going to know you're not having a good time. Get used to being a little weird. We're playing pretend on the internet, guys.
Well, and I think
we are playing pretend on the internet. Come on.
I think on top of that, like if you're not willing to promote yourself or promote the thing that you did, are you not proud of it? Like, how much pride are you not taking in it if you're not willing to just say, like, look at the thing I did? Like, be proud of the thing you did. You did it. You did the thing. Yeah. Be proud of it. Like, who gives a shit what anybody else thinks? Who gives a shit whether they go watch it or not? Like, you did a thing. Be proud of it. Be proud of the thing you did. You made something.
Yeah, and it's okay, Gentle Bem. Like, you know what? Yeah, that's fair. Maybe you haven't killed the entire cringe inside of you. But just if it hasn't died entirely, just ignore it and post the thing anyway. Post it anyway. Do the thing. Do the thing.
I actually want to give a shout out to Gentle Bem because this is his question that's coming next. And I wanted to give a shout out to him specifically because he messaged me directly to tell me how excited he was that you were the guest this week. So this is his question specifically coming up next. He said, how did you feel when you won at New Jersey Webfest in 2023? Has winning opened up any new and exciting opportunities for you?
I did not expect to win in the slightest. There is quite literally a picture of me staring gobsmacked at the stage when they called my name, because I was up against people who quite literally have careers in film. Like actual people with actual film credits. And there's this asshole. Nobody from middle of nowhere. So on the one hand, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? On the other hand, I mean, same as it was with the Crit Awards, it's the fact that the voice that I gave to Calamity and the story that I told with Calamity, because it was specifically for Calamity and the All Night Society, the fact that the people who were judging saw that and saw, I guess, saw the heart and soul that I put into her, and the fact that it spoke to them to that degree was just like, I can't put it into words how amazing that felt to know that a character that I had built and created had affected people to such a degree. I mean, as far as opportunities, like, you know, having that on your website's kind of cool. It adds like a sprinkle of legitimacy. But I do think it helped get my name like out further into the ether than it would otherwise. But even if it hadn't, like, I got a pretty little like cut glass award that sits on my desk. So if I ever feel kind of shit about the things that I'm doing, it's like, no, somebody thought that something you did at one point was really fucking cool. And if I never get to play a game again, I still have that little trophy. So it's like, I still did something cool.
Yeah.
And that's what matters to me at the end of the day.
Yeah. You got the recognition of your peers, like we were talking about earlier with the Crit Awards and everything. Like, how amazing is it? I mean, at the end of the day, really all you have to take is pride in yourself. If you take pride in yourself and the work you did, like, that's really all that matters. But to get that extra recognition from your peers, like, that's so incredible. Mm-hmm. That's so cool. And what an awesome thing to receive.
Again, not even necessarily my peers, because they all have film credits. I got fuck off. I'm just here.
Well, you do have an IMDb page now. I saw that in my research of you. You do have an IMDb page.
I forgot about that. I have a legit IMDb page. That's weird as hell. Oh my God.
You do. You have an IMDb page.
But no, there's like one of the judges is apparently, he does stuff with oh God, what's it? It's the D&D actual play that's like actually like live on screen. It's not Critical Role, but they do stuff on like Peacock, I think.
Okay.
Encounter Party. They're fun. They're delightful. But yeah, apparently he just thinks I do neat work, and that's really nice. It's like, I don't know you from Adam, but you said that I did a good job, and you would know because you're an actual honest to Christ actor. So thank you. I appreciate that, sir.
What was the pivotal moment, in your opinion, that took your platform from sharing about a hobby to becoming what it is now? So where do you think there was a moment when everything really just took off for you?
Oh my God. I think honestly when Aaron and V decided to pull me in for the All Night Society. Because that was a moment of, at that point, I think I'd only played, I can't remember if that was before or after I started doing things with Huddy, like every once in a while. But like having a regular spot on a regular chronicle, and people like hearing my voice every other week and seeing my face as I started to do more and more streams. Like the more one shots, the more short-term chronicles and like mini series that I started to do, like the fact that people saw my work, heard my work, and said, you know what, I want to bring that to our table. I think that was the big one for me. It was having that like regular time slot when I first started doing TANs.
That's amazing. I mean, yeah, all it takes is just someone to give you an opportunity, a shot, and just put your face out there and have fun. Just make something that you enjoy doing and do it for long enough and consistently. Like, and then it just goes from there. And I think that's such a cool opportunity. Who is a character from lore, or, you know, a character that you've always wanted to play or you would love an opportunity to play?
Oh, just like in general in the world of darkness?
Yeah. Like as a guest shot, like if you just got an opportunity to play somebody, who would you like to play?
I mean, I'm gonna stick in Chicago. There's a Tremere by the name of Portia.
Uh-huh.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Who's about to come start some problems for us. Ugh. But I would love to come in and play like an elder at some point, whether it's a prince, whether it's like a fucking Methuselah. I like being able to pop in and put the fear of God into a table every once in a while. Something real satisfying about that. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. Okay. Well, if you do have interest in dipping your toes into werewolf, I do have a very specific werewolf character in mind that I think would be perfect for you by the name of Ravenclaw. And those who know Rage Across Tampa know the character I'm talking about and why you would be perfect to play them. But we'll talk about that off screen at some point, and why you would be the best guest appearance for that character when they do make their appearance on screen. Anyway, I can't tell you, Laura, how perfect it has been having you here and how you've been an amazing guest and how this has been such an amazing opportunity for me and for everybody watching at home. And that this has just been so insightful and so enlightening to our audience and to our community, but also just such a treat and such a pleasure just to talk to you, because you're a star. You're a star. I can't put it any better.
God.
Like, you are such a great representation to the community of just, if you love something and you put energy into it and dedication into it, there's no limit to what you can do if you have a passion for it and just are willing to put that cringe away, like you said. You can reach high heights and get
throw it in the fuck it bucket, y'all.
Yeah, exactly. But as we said earlier, we do have a giveaway that's going on tonight, so we're going to do that giveaway. All night long, we've been offering an art piece from Champs Tramps. If you put in the hashtag Tutu in the chat, hashtag TUTU, and we are going to draw the winner of that giveaway now. So the winner is Hugo Boss X8J. Congratulations, you won the giveaway. So you are going to get an art piece from Champ. Congratulations. Huzzah. You get that art piece, so you get in touch with Champ and you will get that drawing, probably of Deadbeat from the Hellhounds. So go ahead and get in touch with her and you will get that free art piece from Champs Tramps. Everyone go support Champ and get a commissioned art piece from her. She makes amazing art pieces. That's all I can say. Just get in touch with her and get your character drawn or get your pet drawn or get something drawn from her, because she has been a fantastic supporter of St. Pete by Night for quite some time, and she deserves your support. Anyway, Laura, I can't thank you enough for being here. It really has been a pleasure. Go ahead and promote anything you want to promote that you have coming up here. Get people to go support you and all of your amazing projects that you have coming up, or any of your projects of old, so that they can just show you love that you have been deserving.
Oh, absolutely. Hello again, folks. Once again, I am Laura, or Tutu, or Laura Tutu. You can find me all over the internet, usually some iteration of _ Laura Tutu on all of the social media sites that matter. Or if you want to see what I'm up to currently, you can check out my website. Did I update that recently? Probably not. Oh, well. LauraTutu.com has all of my recent stuff on it. The All Night Society Season 3 coming soon, TM, with the Queen's Court games. If you want to catch up on the current seasons, you can do that on Spotify or YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Shadows over Baldur's Gate is the spiritual sequel to Baldur's Gate 3, happening over at Crit Hit Chronicles every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central. Cradle of Liberty, the Boston Chronicle with Huddy von Schlan, is happening now. We've got our prologues coming out. We've got a full season 1 that is nearly wrapped. So excited to bring that to you. You can find that on Honey's YouTube channel every Monday afternoon. Otherwise, check me out on Folk and Myth. Got some stuff coming at the beginning of April. I'm pretty sure we're doing something mage flavored. I'm not sure, but it got real weird. The thing that Bleak gave me for the primer was real weird, and it smelled like mage bullshit. So I'm pretty sure there's some mage bullshit coming down the pipeline at Folk and Myth. But yeah, check out Folk and Myth on YouTube. Check out Queen's Court Games, their website, queenscourt.games. Check out Crit Hit Chronicles on Twitch, on YouTube. And you can follow me on all of the socials. And like I said, check out my website for all of the latest ridiculousness. At some point, maybe I'll start posting on TikTok again, but that shit's hard and I'm old and tired. But lauratutu.com for all of my latest nonsense.
Yes. And go, like they said, go follow Laura on all of the social media. Go check out the website. Go follow all the streams. But also, if you're following things, go follow St. Pete by Night on some stuff as well. And come join our community by following, or go to the Discord link in the description down below, because you can be a part of our community and join in all of the activities that we have going on. We've got a lot of stuff coming up this week. On Tuesday, we have the next episode of Rage Across Tampa, which we had mentioned earlier. Our pack of Guru are dealing with a lot of shit in the city of Tampa and trying to get things under control, including a new pack of Guru that have come into town that are raising havoc. So we've got to get them under control. So come tune into the latest episode of that. Then on Friday, the episode of Hellhounds, that new pack that is causing trouble, over on YouTube. You can go check that out. So we've got lots of content coming your way, so stay tuned to everything St. Pete by Night by just following this channel and following over on YouTube. Just follow all the things. But for Laura, I'm Kent. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Good night.
Bye, y'all.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. After Dark is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pack. The host for After Dark is Kent. Visit our website at stpetebynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.